Give bad photos a chance. Don't delete those photos is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 15 minutes or less, starting now. Hello everyone, welcome. Now today's topic was inspired by one of my coworkers, Vlad. Vlad has been shooting film for many years, and then he made the switch over to digital. And the first thing he noticed is the colors didn't pop the way he envisioned them to be, and it wasn't the same as photographing with film. So to make that transition, he kept wondering, well, do I delete these photos? What do I do with them? Don't delete those photos. You never know what's going to happen with them. There are some photos I've taken many years ago, and the technology for editing wasn't up yet. In fact, I photographed an incredible Veterans Day event underneath the tarp, and I thought I had it at 320 ISO. Nope, it was 3200 ISO. And back then, the camera I had, the highest you could push it was maybe 400, 800 if you were lucky. Horrible noise. Put it in Luminar Neo. Now all those images are saved. So don't delete those photos. Now I'm going to jump right in and let me show you a couple. First of all, this is the one we're going to be working on, but I do want to show you Vlad. And he made the mistake of saying he was an amateur. And of course I corrected my friend and said, you're a photo enthusiast. All right, so these are some of his shots that he took. And the one that we used for the title card was one of my favorite ones right here. This one right here. Oh, I love this. What he said was so neat. He's staying in Italy right now. He walks by this daily. How cool is that? To have something like this to photograph on a regular basis. So again, I just did a few quick edits, and this is what we got. All right. Now I'm going to take you to one of them that I did. This was shot in East Hampton. And I'm embarrassed to show you, yes, this was the original image, and it was shot in 2009 with what camera was it? I think it was a Nikon D300. So it wasn't great, but at the time it was one of the better cameras. So this is the shot. What we want to do is turn it into this. And then later, we'll expand it and make it look like this, all right? So let me get to this shot right here. And here's where order of operation comes in. Yeah, I want to give it just a general enhancement. So I want to develop it, just a general development, nothing too crazy. Maybe just bump the shadows a little bit more, right about here. All right, and that's one way of doing it. Another way could be just to come in and just flip through the different profiles and see if any of these profiles will add the contrast that it's missing. It was shot on a horrible, horrible day. I'm going to leave that right where it's at. So now that I have that set, my first instinct would be, well, why don't we just come over here and make the overall image look better? Well, that's good, but if I go overboard too soon, I do want to replace that sky. I want the sky to match properly. So I'm only going to give this a little enhancement. Now I'm going to come over to the sky. And with the landscape tool, here it is. I downloaded these skies from Luminar Marketplace. And this right here, it's, in fact, I'll give you the link. It's right here. So these are the creative assets that I'm using during this edit. So I do want to change the sky. So I'm going to come in, and I think the sky I chose was number 25. Yep. All right, so there it is. It looks good, but again, I want to make sure it matches. So let's come over here and do the relight strength. Look what relight is doing. It's giving me that little relight of the entire scene. I don't need to worry about reflection because there's no water. And the sky is fine. I could defocus it just a little bit. All right. All right, so let's see what we have so far. So we dealt with this to here, and already it's looking better. Now remember, this was an overcast day, and I didn't have a lot of time So I know that that color of the windmill just, I remember it much more richer. So let's come down to color harmony, and I'm only going to focus on the windmill. So I'm going to take the brilliance up a bit. Look how horrible everything else is looking. Ooh, but look at that windmill. Look at the windmill. That's what I want. I don't want the rest of the stuff. So mask, let's use object select. And I'm going to select the windmill. All right, and now this is going to get a little tricky. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to try to select all of this, but you know what's going to happen? It's not going to, it's going to select some of the clouds, but that's okay for now. So I have a good base. All right, but now look what happened when I did that. Just gave that weird look around the sides. So let's go to brush, erase, and now I'm just going to come in manually, get rid of these sections here, because you're not going to notice it like that. And only because I rehearsed it, I did notice I don't like what it's doing to the rust on the window. So I'm going to erase it again. And let's just dial it back a bit. There we go. And I'll do the same thing to the door area. Now notice how much noise is in here. Because we're dealing with a non-destructive editing, and it's a raw file, I'm going to go back to the original. Let's get rid of that. And I'm going to apply the noise reduction. There we go. So once I have that set, there we have it. All right, so now I'm going to go back to edits, and think of edits as your history. All right? Well, this here, I'm going to come down here to noiseless. I'm just going to go with middle. Now, I was recommending low, but you know what? Middle is going to be fine for me. Now, notice what we just did. I'm able to go back through raw and noiseless and make additional changes. Now, I'm going to come back up here to my color harmony. And let's see. Before, give it a moment. After, already it's looking better. Now, I don't like the grass being that green. So let's come down here to color, use saturation and luminance. Let's start with the saturation first. Take that green, I'll go to an extreme so you can see the green. I'm going to dial the green back just a little bit here, and then the luminance. So that's too bright, that's too dark. Let's bring it right about here. That looks good. I don't mind the trees looking the way they are. If you want the trees, if you don't want the saturation in the trees, then you could come in here to mask and just go neutral or natural ground. And now it's applying it to this area only. All right. So now that we have that set, I am going to come back and nope, I have it all set. All right. So let's see it before and after. All right. So that's looking good. Now, this is where I know that the sky that I put in, I'm going to give it another, because I noticed that when I zoomed in quite a bit, I did have a little noise in the sky. Not that bad, but I do want to give it an overall noise, apply the noiseless AI to it. Now that I have it, I do want to bring this out just a little more. So let's go to enhance and see what that does for me. Yeah, look what enhance is doing. I don't like what it's doing to the sky, but I do like what it's doing to the rest of the image. So once again, mask. Let's select the sky and then do the invert. There we go. And then if that bottom section is still a little too bright, maybe we'll just lower the strength a bit. And let's just dial it in. All right. So now that we have this all set, I need something. I need something to tie all of my edits in. Because again, the sky wasn't there. This is what we started with. And we started to enhance it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to come into the creative tools. And here we'll put a LUTs. Now, again, I downloaded this from Marketplace, and it was this one right here. Look at this. All right, that's the LUT we're going to work with. So custom, and look what it's doing. It may not seem like a lot, but look how it's just tying everything together. Just a nice subtle, not too much. It's like adding just a little bit of salt when the food is not tasting the way you want it. But if you put too much in, it's ruined. Here, adding that mood on all of it. So think of this as like a layer. Adding it to the entire image is going to tie everything together. So there I have it. Now what I did do is I did bring it in to the generative expand. And from Gen Expand, I just gave it more headroom. All right? And there we have it. So, once again, to get the image looking the way I did, I could use my own skies if I had my skies, or I can go to a place like Luminar Marketplace, download the skies or the LUTs, whatever it is, those are the little assets that are going to help you take an image that you thought was horrible. Now, the reason why I did decide to edit this image was it was on my trip to East Hampton. And this is one of those iconic shots in this area. The day I went, I wanted to go the first day. Everyone said no. Second day, please, I really want to get to that. They put it off. By the third day, it just got done raining. It was a horrible day. In fact, I almost got hit by a car backing up into the road to try to get the entire shot in. So I look at this image not so much as, wow, that's a perfect shot for me. It was, you know what? I went through a lot to get that shot. What can I do to save it? I am so glad I didn't delete these images many, many, many years ago. So there's the whole point, is look at the images you have. Go back in time. Think of some of the shots that you were excited about being there, but the image didn't come out the way you thought it should be. That's when you come in and do these edits. And by the way, please don't make the mistake of deleting in camera. Now, if your camera card is full, put in another card, or make sure you go out and you check it, but try not to delete while you're doing it on location. You may end up deleting a great shot. All right? Well, for all of you that are here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.